She's right now at the border giving a press conference. She doesn't give a press conference. She doesn't take questions. She'll make a little statement and then run away.
All right, there we have it. Former President Donald Trump and the current GOP candidate for the presidency again is in Walker, Michigan right now, and he is really focusing in on this new crime data that was released from ICE.
Fox News cut away from Trump's campaign speech before he could go from fear-mongering about the number of immigrants that have committed crimes to literally calling VP Harris a criminal herself.
What Kamala Harris has done is unforgivable. It's a crime, what she did. It's got to be criminal. There's no greater act of disloyalty than to extinguish the sovereignty of your own nation, and that's what she's done. She's ruined our nation. She's ruined our nation. And, you know, I've always talked about this, and I've talked about it strongly, but I'm just realizing as I'm talking right now, and not even going off a teleprompter, because the teleprompter's not tough enough, I'm saying, and by the way, isn't it nice to have a president that doesn't need a teleprompter?
While Kamala Harris is a criminal, there's no greater act of disloyalty than my characterization of ending the sovereignty of the nation. Those are some pretty extreme and divisive lies from a guy that's got the entire GOP clamoring for some toned-down rhetoric.
That is just the rhetoric, and you know, people are at each other's throats.
The rhetoric is every day, all day. And as it's directed against President Trump, it's saying that he's a threat to democracy, that he's going to destroy America. It's absolutely absurd, and it is irresponsible. And Democrats and people who are speaking in these terms about President Trump need to take responsibility and really think about the consequence of using that kind of language.
As usual, it's not about the rhetoric or any care about the safety of political candidates. It's about using it as an excuse to mute their opponents and deflect attention from his self-serving interests. I can't get over how much Trump directly contradicts himself in front of his supporters, and they never catch on. He also, again, brought up Harris using teleprompters, as if he doesn't rely on them. So why do they believe anything that he says?
And, you know, I've always talked about this, and I've talked about it strongly, but I'm just realizing as I'm talking right now, and not even going off a teleprompter, because the teleprompter's not tough enough, I'm saying, and by the way, isn't it nice to have a president that doesn't need a teleprompter? By the way, just in case you're wondering, I got no teleprompters, and I haven't from the beginning. These people, that probably means we'll make a better speech. No, I got no teleprompter. If I blow it up here, though, they take a perfect, brilliant, beautiful statement that I make. I go for 2 hours without teleprompters. And if I say one word slightly out, they say, he's cognitively impaired. He just came up. Are the teleprompters not working, sir? Not even a little bit. Great job. And then I don't pay the company that does it, right? And then I end up with a story Trump doesn't pay. I don't pay contractors that do a job. And that's a job. That's a job. You can't read a word. But isn't it nice to have a president who doesn't need a teleprompter? These teleprompters are just gonzo, folks. They're gonzo.
Their trust in him actually endangers their lives, despite his repetitive talking points about how immigrants are the source of literally every problem in the country.
Alabama and all of the other states who have been really hit hard by that very large hurricane. That was that big one, a very large hurricane this week. We're with you all the way, and if we were there, we'd be helping you, and you'll be okay.
You'll be okay. That's what he's got for Hurricane Helene victims, the ones that actually have survived after another devastating storm that continues to follow the trend and causing more and more damage.
The extent of the devastation can be seen in these videos. Entire communities underwater, houses torn to pieces, and flooded roads remain impassable, making search and recovery efforts difficult. We know at this hour at least 116 people are confirmed dead, many more unaccounted for days after Helene hit. Asheville, North Carolina, that is an area known for its vibrant art scene and historic architecture. That storm has taken a mental and emotional toll on many people who live in that community.
I haven't seen my kids. I'm tired. hungry, still have no power, I have no gas to get to my kids. I don't know where to get gas. So there's that.
If we don't get help from somebody soon, I mean, this will be probably the end of it. And it'll just be 40 years in the family business. It's going to be shut down just because of this.
Those are the victims he simply said will be okay. Many of which are actually Trump voters, who are being fed the story that as long as he's in office, their lives are pristine. Wait until they hear what his architects at the Heritage Foundation plan to do with relief efforts after something like Hurricane Helene.
For instance, on shrinking FEMA and focusing on its mission of backing up states. People think of it as a first responder. It's not a first responder. States and localities are the first responders. FEMA is there to back them up. And if we focus them more narrowly, when they're deployed, they will do a better job. And they'll be deployed in those areas that are highest priority, highest need. So it's conservative, limited government approaches like that you'll see.
So while they're floating more cuts to agencies and departments meant to help citizens in life or death situations, it's clear what Trump wants them to focus on as the real danger.
Think of this. You have a town of 50,000 people, and almost instantly you have 32,000 people, in this case from Haiti. Most of them don't speak English, so they're looking for interpreters. You have to get them out. We have to save our country. You have to save these towns. They flooded the job market with low-wage migrants, but many cases migrants that also have horrible criminal records, murder, drug dealing, so many different things, a lot of human traffickers, and it's mostly human traffickers in women. Last month, American-born workers lost 1.3 million jobs. This is last month. You know, when they lowered the interest rates, they weren't doing it necessarily just for political. Our economy is terrible, especially when you add inflation into it. Inflation has destroyed our middle class. It's destroyed our senior citizens. And all of these people coming in are horrible for the black population and the Hispanic population. They're taking the jobs of the black population at levels that they've never seen before. Hispanic also.
It's not even a coherent series of thoughts. He just knows that claiming every invented issue that he barks about can be blamed on black or brown immigrants, stealing people's daughters in their jobs. Now, imagine that cartoonish picture that has to form in believers' minds to take his words as fact. Haitian folks in Ohio are picking off people's kids and trafficking them, while at the same time working their asses off for low wages. No word about which American businesses are participating in this sabotage of black and brown people's jobs and their wages. But still, there's this one guy that, again, is openly revealing to his people that he's always been a threat to employees' paychecks.
Great things. A lot of people don't give. I know a lot about overtime. I hated to give overtime. I hated it. I'd get other people, I shouldn't say this, but I'd get other people in, I wouldn't pay. I hated. This is going to lead to a lot more. I think it's going to be economically positive, but I'm not even doing it for that reason. I'm doing it because like the no tax on overtime, it's something so good.
That little revelation came when he was pitching his plan to not tax overtime pay, completely forgetting that overtime pay provisions were put into place to disincentivize employers from working their employees into the ground. But for someone that can't identify with working class Americans having an actual life and health concerns, this is the only perspective that he can see. And what's going to stop employers like Donald Trump from gaming the system to avoid giving all these extra non-taxable hours to their workers? It never crossed his mind because he's always had a predatory relationship with those that fuel a business's success.
Look, I'll keep saying it. Words are cheap. Actions is all you should care about. Make sure you're counting on what was delivered. When Donald Trump was president, he blocked overtime benefits for millions of workers. He opposed efforts to raise the minimum wage, and he even proposed slashing budgets for federal fire service programs. Those are just simply facts. But look, it's not just what they've done, it's what they're gonna do. This is the big thing. One of the goals of their Project 2025 is to screw the middle class, making it harder for workers to collectively bargain, allowing employers to drastically cut overtime or eliminate it. Slash taxes for the ultra-wealthy by imposing a national sales tax on the rest of us. Look, I've said this, I'm an old-time football coach. If you draw up a playbook, you plan on using it. Project 2025 is a plan to reshape what America looks like, moving away from the middle class and putting it right back on the oligarchs and the wealthy at the top.
Many working families, especially in my state of Michigan, but in many others across the heartland of America and the rest of the country, rely on overtime to make ends meet and to save for their future. In fact, we know that many workers take on jobs specifically because employers offer overtime. But under Trump's Project 2025, employers could force workers to work more than 40 hours a week without paying them time and a half.